Hello, everybody out there. I am very, 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 very happy and excited to have this person on. I thought this is going to be one of these calls that actually delivers so much usable content. I'm putting pressure on it now for a lot of people out there, because a lot of people have been stuck at home now for a while. And if you're like us, we're now looking around and going, holy bleep, is this all our stuff? And why have we still got bills that I found from 2012? Or we've got like 3 copies of one game that we're trying to sort out. Anyway, so very, very excited to have this person on. She's one of our favorite people to have in our practice, in our community. When she comes in, she brings so much energy and love, and you can see that the whole clinic lights up when she walks in. She's the brains and entrepreneur behind Dotty Mo, a company that creates space in people's homes and lives. And that's huge because it allows people to unlock their most potential. And whether that is clearing through something that they're hanging on to for some emotional stuff, or whether it's nagging me because I have 1,800 emails in my inbox. Yeah, she's nodding away there. So I'd like to introduce Jo. How are you doing?
Hello. I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing, darling?
Amazing. We're trying to keep our heads going. And like I just said to Jo before we started recording, like, I'm sat in my makeshift office at Goose Lane at the minute, and there is piles of stuff around me. So before I came on the call over this weekend, I've had to clear loads of stuff out because I just couldn't go with Jo.
One of the best things with these Zoom calls, especially networking ones, is you get to see people's houses behind you. So after the networking, I'm just messaging people going, would you like a little bit of a hand?
Yes. Here's my virtual card. How are you?
Yeah.
So we've been doing different interviews with people, and one of the main consensus that's been going around is that this is an amazing gift of time, is for change and for like rebirth of yourself. Yeah. With all that, and especially looking at our house, when you go into somewhere, people might be hoarding for years and years and years and years, or might have collected so much stuff that they're hanging on to. Like, why do you think, well, what is the reason for people hoard? Why do people collect so much in their lives?
I think there's all sorts of reasons, but most of them are emotional. You mentioned hoard, and hoarding is a distinct mental disorder, which is a bit of a separate kettle of fish. So park that for a minute, because that is a, you know, it has got some
put that in the corner for a while.
Yeah. Come back to that. But general stuff, you know, I mean, you know, we gather it. We just gather it as we go through, and what we tend to find is that we fill the space we have. You know, so when I was at uni and I had one room, I crammed that full, and then when I got a 2-bedroom flat with a friend, I filled that, and then when I got a 3-bedroom house, I filled that. You know, and it's like, we've got this room, let's put all these things in it. You know, and initially when we go into these spaces, it might look really kind of lovely and sparse and ever so nice, but then we just gather, we just kind of keep these things coming in, and a lot of it is things that we really like. We go, oh yeah, that's really nice, I'd like that, you know, and stuff that might be memories. So we go on holiday and we pick up a nice ornament and it goes on the shelf, and you know, but then as we go through life, we just get more and more and more of this stuff, and we have a tendency not to get rid of the old stuff. So we're always hanging on to this sort of whole trail of our lives in our stuff. And I think that well, it can be for all sorts of reasons, but it's because, you know, a lot of people don't necessarily like to let go of that. It's like, you know, memories of happy times and things like that. And it can also be memories of bad times. It's very strange, but you can hold on to things that you don't really like and that don't mean a lot to you, sort of out of obligation. And especially when you've gone through some sort of bereavement, that can really be the case. You know, you get a house full of stuff from your mum or dad or both of them, you know, and you're like, I can't get rid of it, you know.
So it's like a carbon footprint of memories and emotion, realistically.
I think so. Yeah.
Constant drag of stuff. Amazing.
Yeah, and it you know, that's pretty normal in our society. It's really weird. I spent 6 months in Africa, and in Africa they have nothing. They don't hold on to anything, you know, they really don't. It's like material stuff means nothing. I mean, that's a very, very big generalization for the whole of Africa. But, you know, generally where I was, you know, people had one room, they had one blanket, they had one pot to cook in, they had one spoon, they had one bowl, that was it, you know, and they were like so free. And we gather all these things that we need, you know. It's like, I mean, advertising, look at advertising, you know, every advert on TV is like, your life will be wonderful when you have this, you know. So we go and buy this because then we'll be brilliant when we have this, you know. And I think a lot of people use stuff to fix them. That's the reality, you know, this dream that I will be okay if I get this, I will be okay if I, you know, if I attain this.
With a lot of things, though, if people are trying to get the golden goose, the magic missing part from that, it's only going to be a short-lived patch-up, maybe, majority of the time. Would you agree with that? Or?
Definitely. And a lot of people, you'll find a lot of people who buy things and then they'll receive them, they won't even open them. You know, it's almost the kind of, I need that, oh, I've got it, great. You know, and they don't even need to do anything with it, you know, or that kind of idea that this is going to change my life, you know, the exercise equipment that you buy and use once and then never use again, you know.
So
and
it potentially like a serotonin hit or a dopamine hit, like it's like chasing a fixation of addiction, just like, oh, I need to get this thing because that's the next thing.
Dopamine,
there it's an empty endorphin hit and then you're on to the next thing.
That's it. And I think the problem with stuff is it's just inanimate objects. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, I'm not saying they can't teach us things and they can't help us with things. You know, books are amazing. But if I just keep going out and buying books and never read any of them, then I'm never going to learn anything. I'm never going to do anything. You know, I made a pact with myself at the beginning of the year, don't buy any more books. And I keep collecting them in Amazon. And I'm like, oh, can I just build up it? Oh, like, should I buy it? No, don't buy any more because I've got so many I haven't read, you know. And it's like, for those are a great example for me, because I'll be on a call with somebody or I'll be talking to somebody and they'll talk about this book and they'll be talking about it and it'd be like, oh my God, that's amazing. And I'll buy it and then it'll sit there and I'll be like, yeah, I'll read that after they finish this one. And then, you know, 3 years later, it just passed me by, you know. And I think a lot of this stuff that we have was just for that moment. We didn't need to read the book, it was just for that experience almost, you know. So but why am I still hanging on to it, you know? Actually let go unread books, ooh, you know, that's a scary one. But yes, you know, that was bought then, I don't need it now, you know. Do I really need this now? And you know, looking at your things in a different way is really funny.
So how would somebody, I mean, this is going to be such a broad question, I'm not expecting you to kind of like nail it in one, but how would somebody start, say I'm looking at a room, moving places, I've got all this stuff behind me. Whereas some people, me before, would just go, okay, this is necessity, I have to move things and get rid of stuff because we don't physically have space, or it won't have a point, or I've got Becky in my ear. If we're not under that pressure situation like we are now, how would somebody start trying to identify where that gap is? Maybe
I think stuff, if you're happy with what's there and you know, there is no issue with it, then there's no issue with it. And that might be a house full. It's about whether somebody is unhappy in that situation or not. And if they're not, if they're comfortable with it, a lot of creative people have a lot of stuff and they really enjoy it, you know. But if they're getting stressed out about the fact they can't find anything, if they're getting stressed out about the fact it's not organized, then it's like, you know, you need to deal with it. So if your stuff is, you could have a house absolutely crammed full and be completely happy with it, and that's brilliant, because I'm not like a minimalist. I'm not about telling anybody what they should or shouldn't have. I think if you identify it as something that's becoming a problem for you, then, you know, it's a case of, okay, maybe I need to tackle this. And one of the biggest things people do wrong when they're decluttering is that they don't declutter. They just move stuff around, basically. Yeah. So this is actually a real trait with hoarding disorder. So they call it churning. So you get a pile and you go, oh, that top thing, yeah, I need that, so I'll put that there. And then I need that, oh yeah, I'll put that there, but I'll put it at that angle, so that I know what it is, you know. And then I'll put that there, or I might put that in that heap. So all you do is end up just churning this pile over, maybe into 3 different piles, but then all you've got is 3 piles, you know. So if you haven't got enough room for everything, you haven't got enough room for everything. It's really, really simple. So you've got to get rid of some of the stuff. And
that sounds like literally every garage that I've been involved with or owned or anything. Like, I'm going to sort the garage out 3 days and everything's got a different pile somewhere else. And yeah.
Absolutely. So you can't, you know, if you haven't got enough room, you've got to accept that fact. So you've got to get rid of some of the stuff. Now, what you'll find, and this is another thing that people do when they're decluttering, they deal with the surface stuff. So they deal with the pile that's on the desk. Yeah. And that pile that's on the desk is the most recent stuff. It's the stuff that you probably need. It's the stuff that you access really, really quickly. So the first rule of decluttering is always start with the storage. Go to the cupboard in the corner that you haven't been in for 25 years, clear that out, get rid of some of the stuff in it, and then you've got space for the stuff that you actually need to go. Yeah. So you've got to get rid of the old crap that you've not really looked at for decades. You know, that's the place to start with.
You just answered my next question, which was going to be the big one, which was like, where do you actually start? So it's literally go to the stuff that you haven't even looked at for that amount of time and just start there.
Absolutely. I did an office declutter with a lady, and we spent 2 days doing it. And the first day I went in and she got piles, she got boxes, she got stuff all over her desk. It was, you know, it was very, very disorganized. Yeah. And she was the first to admit it. And it was interesting because she got dyspraxia. And dyspraxia means that people can very easily follow a system, but they can't put one in place. She literally did not know where to start, and her brain does not work in the way to say where to start, you know. And I went in and I was like, right, that filing cabinet over there, we're starting there. And she was like, yeah, but what about all this? And I'm like, don't worry about that. We're starting over there. And out of a 3-drawer filing cabinet, we ended up with about half a drawer of stuff that she actually needed. And then we went through a bookcase that had stuff that was old, you know, and we got through 2 shelves in a bookcase, gone. Then all the stuff that was out had somewhere it could go.
So this was a big one that you taught us, because you came around and basically nailed a section of our kitchen with Beck at one point. But you were saying that everything needs to have its place. Like if it doesn't have a place, then it's going to get lost or it's going to get piled or whatever else. So what you've just said there with the filing cabinet is create space for things to then move into.
Absolutely. My definition of clutter is something that doesn't have a home. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter whether you should have it or not. If it doesn't have a home, it is clutter, because it's got nowhere to live, and it will just get moved around. It will just annoy everybody, you know, and it's got to have a home. So you've got to create these homes, and you can only create the homes by creating space.
A lot of things, when we're talking about stuff, we're saying there might be an emotional block or emotional level to having this item. That doesn't necessarily mean that I look at, say, an item and it triggers an emotional response. It might be something that's deep in here that I'm not registering. How would you identify somebody if there was an emotional trigger or hold on to something like that?
This is why it's so important to work with somebody on it. You know, I think you know, I only know what I know, and I only admit what I admit, you know, and I'm there's a certain amount of denial about me in every situation in my life, you know, and you know, I've had years of that, you know, active alcoholism, that was just denial completely, you know, but when somebody else questions you about it, when somebody else says, you know, why have you got that? And you then have to actually vocalize that and get it outside of your head, for starters. When you say it, you can then have a bit of a different relationship with it. And sometimes you don't even realize what those attachments are. So there was a lady, and we cleared out her wardrobe, and we got to some of her old work clothes, and she started her own business, and she was talking about, that was a time when she'd been bullied at work, you know, and she got these clothes, and she was like, why have I still got those? You know, and she was hanging on to this, you know, really nasty experience, really. And I was like, you know, should we send that to charity? She said, no, sod that, I'm putting it on eBay. It owes me something, that does. I'm like, too right, you know. But talking through that made her aware of what that was, you know. And also, it was in that same place, actually, in her wardrobe, she'd also got all the bedding and all the towels and all it was like she didn't have her space. You know, we cleared out under the bed, which was where we started, because when I went in, she was like, should we start in the wardrobe? I'm like, no, under the bed. She's like, oh my God, you know. We cleared out the 3 boxes of shoes that she hadn't worn for years and reduced them to like 2 pairs, you know, and then had space for the boxes for all the bedding and stuff, which made the wardrobe hers. And it was about her feeling like she deserved it almost, and that, you know, it was her space, not everybody else's. And you know, and a lot of women, you know, really struggle with this stuff because they're used to being mums and looking after everybody and all that. Not that blokes don't, but you know, it's especially for women, you know, and having their space and that, you know. And you'll find quite often actually in homes that if they're the rest of the home might be really good, but then like the woman's wardrobe will be absolute chaos because they don't put themselves first, you know. And so there's all sorts of things that you end up talking about while we're going through it, and that's the beauty of what I do, really, because it's kind of coaching, counselling, mentoring, whatever you want to call it, but it's not about the stuff. None of it's about the stuff.
It's clear. It's clear. I love it.
Yeah, it's clearing out all this crap that we have inside of us and getting all that out. But that's something you can do with a friend. You know, I encourage people to do it with somebody else because they can ask you the questions you can't ask yourself. Do you really need that? You know, and that lady, she put this dress on. She was like, what do you think? I was like, that's horrible. And she was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, well, it is. It doesn't suit you at all. And she was like, oh, thank you. You know, thank you for telling me that, you know. And it's amazing what you don't realise about sort of what you're doing until you start looking at it and start thinking about it, you know.
That's amazing. So one thing you said there is obviously trying to use external help, which is a massive influence into re-questioning and re-evaluating things and self-assessment. Yeah. You've also, so that's cool, but if people are stuck at home at the minute as well and they can't, because of safe distancing and everything else, you've got a star system of trying to assess things. Is there anything of that you could interweave to try and do on your own without a consultant there just for now until you're...
There's all sorts you can do. I mean, if you look on my blogs, look on my YouTube channel, you know, there's hints and tips on how to get started, you know, how to do it, how to do your laundry, how to do your kitchen, you know,
also for everyone as well. On Jo's website at the minute, there is blogs. The most recent ones are all about how to declutter with kids.
Yeah.
So everybody's stuck at home with their kids right now. It's an amazing resource. She's on about how you can entertain them with it, how for them to take ownership, how for, you know, just to really own that space and occupy everyone at the same time. So
I think that's the key, you know, access the information, you know, and that there are some really simple strategies for doing it, you know, which I share about all the time, you know, and but also, you know, sometimes you need some help with it. You know, it's not something that you can do on your own, and it's okay to say that. You know, it's like I ask for help in all sorts of ways because I'm like, I don't know, you know. And so, you know, give me a call, or I've got virtual online decluttering services that I'm doing at the minute. So working with people like this, because we're all getting used to this a lot more, and also more of an accountability structure, because a lot of people can and, you know, want to get on with it themselves, but maybe they just need somebody to hold them accountable. Now, accountability has worked for me in numerous areas of my life. You know, my coach just kicks my ass, you know, and that's what I need, because I need to say, this is what I'm going to do, and then have a space to say, yeah, I did it or I didn't, because it encourages me to do it, frankly. You know, I don't want to do a lot of these things because they might bring up things that I don't want to deal with, you know, a bit of pain, you know, and fundamentally I don't really like being in pain. I'd just rather not deal with it, you know, but accountability is key.
People in life that every decision basically move more strongly away from pain than towards pleasure. So like accountability for me has been huge. I had accountability groups where I'd wake up and get on a call at 6 a.m. for an hour every week for years and years and years with a chiropractor around the country. It's somebody just to kick your ass and go, no.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I've just introduced. So an accountability structure where people can just book in a number of sessions, and that can be whatever space that needs to be. And there's a couple of ladies I'm working with at the minute, you know, just sort of, okay, what do you really want to achieve? But talking them through it and going, okay, what is this about and what is it for you? And then them having a safe space where they can come to go, okay, this is what I found hard and what about this? And offload some of the stuff. You know, some people just need to just bleh, get it out. You know, it's we keep all this stuff inside us, and it's like, oh, we shouldn't say that. And having somebody who's not part of anything to do with your life, you know, completely independent, who's not going to judge you for any of that. You know, I've been through some right crap in my life and come out the other side, and you know, my behaviours haven't been great, and it's been a struggle, and you know, and continues to be, you know, but I just do my best on a daily basis and try and help other people with it. And it's just beautiful when people can do it, because it's amazing how getting rid of all that can just so help within here. You know, it frees you. It really does free you, you know. And there's a lady at the minute, and she's just posting every day about all the decluttering she's doing. This is amazing, this is amazing, this is amazing. I'm like, yeah, you go, Claire, keep going, you know. It's brilliant. And once you get started, I think sometimes it's just help to get started, because once you get started, you can very quickly shift how you feel about, you know, that being stuck, really. And once you sort of start flowing through, you can get on with so much more on yourself, on your own. I don't want to be decluttering for people. That's not what I want to do. I want to give people the tools and the space to do it for themselves. You know, I don't tell people what to do. It's all about them figuring out what they need to do and what they want, you know, fundamentally.
It's so beautiful. I literally could talk to you for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. We will both love you. Thank you ever so much for coming on and doing this call. And David, my father-in-law, this is your time to get that bloody garage sorted out.
Oh, garage is great fun.
But yeah, please go and read the blogs on the website. It's is it dottymo.com?
Yeah, dottymo.co.uk, dottymow.co.uk. Or follow me on Facebook. I do a live at 11:30 every day, which I'll be toddling off to soon. They are just where I answer your questions. So if you've got any questions, come on there, message me, send me the question, and I will answer it. It's as simple as that.
Incredible. Please use her. She's amazing. Thank you so much, Jo. Keep happy.
Thank you, darling. And my back's getting really wonky, so will you hurry up and get back to business, please?
All the Zoom calls like this is what it is.
I know. Like, oh, so straight. Oh, God.